everyone, I'm Melanie with Painting Crafty, and we're going to take a quick art break. It's Thursday, quick sketch night, and I'm going to take 30 minutes to teach you how to do a quick sketch of this little cute Christmas box. And then I'm going to show you a simple little watercolor to be able to do over the top. I'm a firm believer that drawing is really for everyone. It's just a learned skill, and I'm going to help break down the steps so that you can follow me through step by step as we create this little guy. So if you're a new beginning sketchbooker and you would like to quick sketch gal, if you would like to go ahead and join my sketchbook, it's like a Patreon, except I have Ko-fi, and over there is where you can get all of my tracers that I do for the drawing. So if drawing isn't your thing, but you would still like to practice watercolor, pop on over there. It's to join, and I'd love for you to become a member. So the link is in my description if you'd like to go over there and find me. Well, let's go ahead and start working on this. Now, the paper I like to use, whoops, I left it way over here. Let's do this. The paper I like to use is the Canson brand watercolor paper. It's a 140-pound watercolor. It's still paper. It's still considered a student grade watercolor paper, but it's really reasonably priced, but you're going to get a much better quality of watercolor than if you used a cheaper, inexpensive watercolor paper. So I am a believer that spend just a tiny bit more on your paper and just use the watercolor that you can afford, and you're going to have a lot better result. So let's go ahead and switch you down now. So we're going to put you over here. I'm going to bring you up that way. Like that. Okay, we're going to be ready to draw. So this is on a 5.5 by 5.5 paper is what we are on tonight. And I like to go ahead and grid off my paper just to be able to give you an idea of how large I'm drawing things. And it just helps give you a better idea of what I'm drawing. Let's switch these around because we're going to be drawing on this one. Now, when you're doing yours, I'm not doing any ink work on this one tonight. I'm just using my pencil is all I'm using. So if you're going to just use pencil, your lines might want to be lighter than what I'm drawing it on. And I still got you upside down. Let's turn you this way. Hello, Gloria. Thanks for popping on. You might want to draw lighter than me because the pencil marks will be showing up even after. They're going to still be there. A part of your painting is what they're going to be. So I'm going to start out with, I just drew a line across this way and a line across down the middle, just to make a T shape on my paper. I did add an extra line in here tonight just to give you an idea of how tall I was making my head and doing my nose. Now, I would suggest doing the oval part first around your picture because you have to get the very bottom, depending on how big you're drawing it. You need to be able to get those little ruffles in all the way around if you're going to be doing that design. So it was helpful to be able to put that all the way around. Now, when you're doing it, just a helpful tip about creating your oval is I put a tick mark here off to the side first, and that gave me an idea how far I wanted to be away from this side. And then I put a tick mark over here to give me an idea of how the distance was there. And same at the top and at the bottom. So when I drew my oval, I kind of got a shape that was similar on each side. Now you can always check, you can look at your corners to see how far away you are and it makes sense. So just spend a little bit of time right at this part if that's important to you. You might just be doing it on a bigger piece of paper on your sketchbook and it doesn't really matter. You can do the oval at the end if that's what works for you. But I knew I was doing it on. So I wanted to make sure I had plenty of room to be able to get my feet in and my little ruffles all the way around. Now I'm happy with this shape that's going here. I'm going to go ahead and do my ruffles. Now I didn't create a colorful pattern around the outside. I just left it all the same color. Part of the reason why I did that is because I didn't want to have a pattern where it was going to end just perfect. If you're going to do something like that where you're going to rotate the colors around, you're going to need to make sure that you have enough of these little hoops to make sure that your color is going to match up correctly as you're doing your pattern. But I just kept them all the same, so I didn't have to worry about that. So I'm just going to create this simple little one. Now this is sky's the limit on this too, of what you want to add for pattern. There, cute. And then what I ended up doing, and I just used this in pencil as well, I ended up just doing a little dark dot inside as my doodling. Now you could do this doodling pattern after you've got done drawing and after you have your watercolor done, you could add this in with anything. Gel pens, I know Gloria's watching, so she uses gel pens a lot. A colored pencil, you could use your micron pens. Markers, they work really well too, but I'm just going to try to keep everything in pencil tonight. So I'm even doing my doodling in pencil. I'm going to keep on going around. There we have it, all the way around. Now let's start with our face. So we're going to be starting with our face up here. Hello, Jeannie. Thanks for popping on this evening. I'm going to come up here and let's take a look at where I started her face. So if we look, this is my center line here. I came up ever so slightly, kind of almost halfway in between. Well, not quite. A little bit higher anyway. And I'm going to start with my nose. That's going to help me center where I'm going to be locating all the rest of my drawing. So I'm going to start with her nose. Hello, Joni. Thanks for popping on. So I'm going to come here. I'm just going to put her cute little nose right about there. That's going to help me decide where how big I want to put the rest of my body. So let's start her face. If we look at her face, it's just a bowl shape here that comes to a point up a little past my next line up. I'm going to just draw this bowl shape. We'll add the little tiny bit of adding of fur on the edges just to give her kind of a cute look. This has got a little bit of a swag right here where the point's up. So we're going to go up a hill, down a hill when it comes to a point. So let's start with her bowl shape. So here we go. We're going to start here. It might help if I put a tick mark here just to give my eye something to look at, to know where I'm heading. Okay, so I know my bowl shape. That's going to be the top of my face. I'm going to come down. I like to do kind of a sketchy line when I do this because it's easier for my eye to make changes and I'm not locked in to one particular shape right away. Okay. And see if I'm happy with that. If it kind of looks even on each side, I think it looks fairly even. I might need to change this just a tiny bit. My hand's going to want to draw it exactly the same way I just did it. Okay, so now let's create the top of her head. So I know I'm going to be about right here is going to be the top of her head. So let's go down the hill and to a point like that. Let's go down the hill, whoops, down the hill and to a point. There we have our little head. Now you take a look to see if it's kind of swoopy, the same on each side. If it looks fairly close, you could call it good. Maybe I want to go ahead and make this not as swoopy, change it out just a tiny bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and add the center part of her face. So we're going to be heading towards her nose. So we're going to create this nose shape here. So I'm going to start up here at my point. I'm going to come in on the side and then I'm bringing it down. I'm going to swoop down. Her nose is pretty tiny in the front like that. Now we're going to come up here, and if it's easier to go this way, come this way and then come up. So your spots across the way should be about even. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some of that little fur line on there. So I'm going to come up and I'm just going to do a jiggy jog here to add a little fur to come down. So 1, 2, maybe 3 little jiggy jogs and come down. Now you might want to go ahead and erase your lines and straighten them up a little bit. I'm going to be leaving all my pencil marks, so I'm going to kind of be a little bit more conscientious of what my line work looks like in this step. Now we have this part done. Let's put her little, let's go ahead and put her little scarf on. So if you can see, this is just a soft little smile face. It's underneath her nose, so it's going to be partly on her face. So let's come up here. We're going to come off to the side. A C and a C. Like so, and then we're going to be coming all the way around. This is that smile face shape. That's going to be giving our picture some, curving it is going to give it some dimension so it doesn't look like it's going straight across. Now we have our little scarf done. Now let's work on her body. This is a U shape, but it's narrower up here and it gets slightly wider as it comes down to the bottom. So we're going to come up here and we're going to start this area. We're going to come out with our U shape. Now you can come on this side too if you need to take a look. And it's going to come out. We're going to round it off like so. Got to make sure you have room for your tail over there. Okay, she's a little bit skinnier than the other one I did, but I think that's fine. Now let's go ahead and pop her feet in, and these are just little soft triangles that are off to the side. So I'm going to look here, put a little soft triangle here, upside down triangle shape, and coming over here. You just kind of want to look to see if they are about the same distance away from your center line is all. And if they are, that's good to go. I'm going to erase a little bit of my line work here because I'm pretty much done. Well, let's leave it on. That'll help just show you how I drew it. So now let's come in and do her tummy. So her tummy is that we're going to just mirror the same shape we did on this one. It's going to have a bigger space at the bottom though, and you're going to be a little bit narrower off to the side. So I'm going to come here, we're going to come down, and we're going to mirror this shape. Again, I want it to be a little wider down here and a little narrower on the sides. Okay, that looks good. Now let's put her little arms in. If we take a look, her little arms are a little lower. Here's my center line. They're going to come at a slight angle going down, and these are just kind of long U shapes that come off of each one. I started about right here on the inside of where my little fur is. She's going to be holding some packages, so I'm going to be coming down. It's got a little bit of a swoop. We're going to head towards that center line and then come back. Now it does look good to have your arms a little wider as they go back. If they get too narrow there, it looks kind of more like spaghetti and you're kind of going for an arm look. Okay, so now I have my arm built in. I'm going to do an invisible line over. I'm going to put a tick mark there so I have an idea of where I started my arm. I can do the same thing here where I'm going to come over and do an invisible line so I have an idea of where that next arm starts. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to curve it around. Now I'm not looking to touch my hands, and then we're coming around this way. Okay, so one is up a little higher than the other, but that will be just fine. It'll just look like she's kind of holding one a little higher than the other. With having this camera positioned the way it is, it's right here in my face, about face height. Okay, so she looks cute. She looks cute. Now up next, let's go ahead and put her tail in. So let's take a closer look at this tail. She's got a little bit of an S shape coming here. This is going to come in and touch. The thing that looks the best is to start your tail low because that's where it would be attached. So start down here, do your little S line up to see how far you can come back in, up high without touching your side circle, and then come back down. So let's start here. So I'm going to start here down at the bottom. I'm going to do my little S shape, come to a little bit of a point, and then I'm going to come back like that. She's got a nice fluffy tail. Now I'm going to erase some of these guidelines because I know I'm not going to need them. I'm not adding any pen work to my drawings today. So I'm not going to have a final erase. This is kind of my final erase right here. And I'm going to be doing some of my pencil doodling at this stage. So I'm going to do my pencil doodling while I'm still doing my drawing. And then I will put the watercolor on at the end. So that will be my final step. I'm just going to use a soft brush and to get those out of there. Those who are watching, the ones who are watching me on YouTube tonight, thanks for joining me. YouTube loves it if we get some thumbs up. So if you're watching on your device, if you could just click out of your comments, and then up will pop the thumbs up. And if you give me a thumbs up, that just lets that lets YouTube know that something good is happening here and others might want to watch. I'd so appreciate it, pushing that out there into the world of YouTube. Now let's go ahead and put his little ears on. We have to do that. Those are off to the side. Now those have a similar shape of a sideways triangle, and we're going to have a little top of his ear showing. So we're going to start here, a little fox ear up, and then down, and then I'm going to come off to my side here and connect. So there's his little ear there. So I'm going to come over here, do the same thing, but the opposite way. Here we come up, and then we come down, start at the top, and then go a little wider as you come back. So there's her little ear. So now she still needs some eyes. I gave her closed eyes, so I just gave a little smile face, and I drew some eyelashes because they always make things look really cute. Coming over here, do the same thing. Do a little eye, darling. All right, she needs to add some presents on there. So you can do whatever you want for presents. I just created a stack of boxes that went from the large to the middle to the top. It looks kind of cute to have 3 different designs on there as well. So let's create this first one, kind of a square. This one was a rectangle. This is a small little one at the top with a tiny little bow there. So we're going to try to create something like that this time too. So I'm going to start here. It's going to go into where her hands are, over, up, over. So I'm just creating that box shape. Now I did give this a top to my box, so I added a little bit, another layer that was slightly larger than the one there, and then I added my ribbon on. I came down the middle first, and then I came across, and when I hit my ribbon, I jumped over. So I stopped, bump over, and carry on with your ribbon. So it looks like one ribbon is in the front and one ribbon is behind. There we go. Now let's do the next little rectangle box. I thought it looked kind of cute to have them a little off-centered. So this is going to be the next one. And the design for this is at an angle. So I'm going to do my little doodle pattern right now. Now let's set this next one up. It's just a little square that's up there. I'm going to put kind of a crissy-cross bow detail on there. So I'm going to do a little X here, like a little X, and then another little X right like, and then create a little bow that's on the top. Cute, 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 cute. Now let's add a little bit more doodling drawing to our little fox. This is what gives her extra cuteness, to add the little doodle patterns on there. You can see where I added the dashes and created a fur pattern there on her tummy, and I threw a heart in there as a part of her design too. She's got some snowflakes in the background and a little bit of doodling on the top of her forehead too. So all of those things add to a little bit of texture. So I'm going to start here in her ears, and I'm going to kind of repeat this pattern here that I did on that box. I'm going to repeat that in the inside of her ear, and then I'm going to do a little dash mark on the top or the outside of her ear. So let's come this way, coming across, and then add that little tiny tick mark in the top of her ear. Now this is where I did that little tick mark pattern here, and I'm just going to follow around her face. And then come in and do it one more time. And one more time on this way. Cute. Oh, I forgot to add her tails of her scarf. Okay, let's add those tails. We needed to add the tails to her scarf. Erase whatever might be in the inside because they would be on the front. Now let's go ahead and create that tummy pattern. So what I did is I made a sideways heart first where I wanted it to create my pattern, and then I started out. Did my camera just flash off and on? My cell phone is, I'm having a tough connection night. I'm sorry about that, ladies. I'm sorry about that. Let's go ahead and now and create going around here. So let's do the dash part that's going to come up to the tummy and around. That, and then fill in your pattern whatever might work and keep up on that little pattern. It's kind of a cute way to create a little bit of a fur without being like exactly adding fur. And I do enjoy doodling. Okay, so we have that part done. Now let's work on her tail. Oh, let's do her little hands first. So she's going to have her little black mitts here. So little black mitts are going to be here. And then I gave her a little bit of tick mark here just to add a little bit of fur. And then I created just a tiny little doodle here. Kind of gives her the illusion of that she might be wearing fancy little mittens, even though she's not. So we're going to do this little part here. We're going to make them dark. And then continue on with our little tick marks. And then do our little swooshes. And isn't that as cute as can be? Now she's got dark little feet. I'm going to color those in. Now you could do all this with marker or pen as well. Okay, and let's work a little bit on her tail. So I'm going to give her a zigzag this way. I'm going to do a little curly curl this way. And a little bit of a motion like that. Repeat that same pattern that I did there. And then now let's fill in a little bit of that fur pattern down here on her tail. Up here. So I'm just going to follow a little bit on the outside first and then fill in as it makes sense. Like that. Cute. Now I do have some snowflakes in the background, so we're just going to be doing some simple snowflakes. So an easy way to do a snowflake is do one across, one in the middle, and then create the X, and just have the X ones be a little shorter, and then put a ball at the top, a ball at the bottom, and off to the two sides. And you got a cute little simple snowflake. So down, over, X, X. And let's see if I can't get another one in here up here. So I'm going to go down, over, X, X. Put my little balls in. And then I added some just simple ones without anything. So I just added just a simple little snowflake to fill in some areas that I didn't have a big area to fill in. Okay, and I think we can call her done. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of a watercolor to this gal. So I'm just going to be using the set that is the set I purchased it off of TeamU. It's not a really expensive set, but it's got some fun colors in it, and it's a great little set to use to begin with. And it also has some metallic colors in there down here and some vibrant neon colors too. So it's a great little set to be able to use. Now I'm just going to move this off to my side. You always want to have a color card when you're first starting your watercolor. If you're just learning, if you have a set of colors, you always want to swatch them. If you're right-handed, keep your things off to your right-hand side. If you're left-handed, keep your things off to your left-hand side. That will stop the problem of your water dripping on your project and creating water spots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a bright color pink. So I'm just going to put that in there. This is actually, this little dish is made for watercolor. It's a porcelain little dish. It works perfect for these little drawings. So I'm just going to load some in there. I have cake watercolor. So I'm having to come off the side, pick up some watercolor. And now I'm going to go ahead. I'm using a Velvet Touch Princeton brush tonight, a round one. These are my favorite ones to use. They got a nice little point on it. So I'm just going to come right in here and start with my pink. So here we go. Whoops. You want a consistency. I got a little hair on there I'm trying to get off. You want the consistency of about T is where you want to start with, and then work your way darker. You always want to start light and then work your way dark. With watercolor, you're basically painting the shadows. Now you could leave a bright piece of your paper, the white there, showing, and it's a great idea to try to remember to do that. Those will be your brightest whites, and they're fine. It's fine to do that with watercolor, and it's actually preferable. If you can leave some white, it's a great way to add some contrast. Now her little tail here and her body, so we're going to start here. Work it around. I love this little combination of the pink, the turquoise, and the orange. Even for Christmas, it makes a fun combination. Pink is supposed to be super popular this year because of the Barbie movie. But I just think it makes a pretty Christmas color. Pink has been around for Christmas for years. Okay, let's come up here and do a little pink this way. So, and let's add a little pink down here. Cute. All right, so we have our pink on. Oh, let's do the top of his ears. I did her top of her ears pink too. All right, cute. Now let's pick up a little bit of bright color orange off to the side, and I'm going to add that with my pink and my turquoise. I just got basically 3 colors tonight. I got a little bit of gray that I'm using. So there's my orange, and we're not going to have a lot of this on my picture, but I'm just going to come in here and pop this color in now. Now if the pink is still kind of wet, but it's still going to work okay even if it touches a little bit. Watercolor wants to go in and flow in where your paper is wet. So if it's too wet, that orange is going to want to just flow right into my pink, and then that will just darken it, and it may not be the look that I really want. So I want to give it just a minute to dry a little ways so it's not so dark. Now I did make this top package orange, and I did make the ribbon orange on this one. And I forgot to add the pink, and I should do that now. I forgot to add the pink on my center package. So repeat it. When you're doing these little drawings, it's nice to have the colors kind of float around and be in different areas of your drawing, so your drawing really does kind of go together and the flow of the colors go really well. Now my pink is dry, so I'm going to come in and just add another darker shadow. So usually you do 3 layers, light, medium, and then dark. But tonight is a quick sketch drawing, so I usually demonstrate where I try to do no more than 2 layers just to give you an idea. But you can see how that's deepening up my drawing and just adding, or my painting, and adding just that next depth into my painting pretty fast and pretty easily. There we go. Let's come in here and do this too. Now, if my brush is starting to wear out, you're going to notice that your tip doesn't stay as tight as you want it to, and then you're going to you might get a little frustrated because your colors are bleeding outside of your areas where you want them. Rinse your brush off with clean water. Take most of the moisture out, and then you can come in and you can lift some of your color. You can come right in here and kind of tickle that surface just ever so tiny, a little bit, and then you can lift up the color. If you get too much on, come in with a dry brush, a thirsty brush is what it's called, and you can dab that on there, and that will pick up some of your color too. Like if you find like you have too much color on there, you want to lift it, you can do that by taking a dry brush and picking up some of the color. All right, let's go ahead and figure out our turquoise now. So the turquoise color is, I wanted to do, let's see if I can find mine. There we go. We're going to just do another turquoise color here, this bright color turquoise. But even though it's a bright color, when I put it down there, it's still going to look better if I put a couple coats on instead of just all in one. So again, it's tea consistency. You can test it on your paper towel to see how dark you are. And then let's come in here and add a little bit of this turquoise. It's a lot on there. I'm going to take some off with my paper towel and push that color around. I still got the tiniest little bit of fuzz on the end of my brush. Okay, let's come here and add a little bit. And then let's come onto this package and add some tiny work, but that's where these little pointed, little round brushes help. This is just a number 6 brush, and it works great for these little small, whimsical drawings. Okay, let's do a little bit. I did a little bit of this on the outside is where I added the turquoise here. And then we're going to be taking a little bit of gray. I'm going to use my black, but I'm going to add a lot of water to it. And I'm going to use that little bit on her fur. So I'm going to just kind of take the white down just a tish so it's not so bright. And then I'm going to be adding a little bit of a kind of a soft peachy color in my background just to tie it all together. Now when you're doing this, you could take your time, do a light one, and then come back and add some dark, and maybe not everyone, but a few, and darken them up as you go around, and that will just add a really fun look too. Okay, so let's rinse out my brush. Now I'm going to pick up this peachy kind of a peachy color to be able to do in the very background. And I'm going to switch brushes too. I'm going to bump up a size or 2 for my background, and I'm going to do a fairly light background. So you might even want a little bit lighter than tea in this area. So the more water you add, the lighter your colors are going to be. The less water, the darker they're going to be. So I'm going to come in, add that on there. I'm going to give it a tap. Then I'm going to come in my background, and I'm just going to add this little peach color. I like to change the direction of my brush so I have an uneven background, so my color isn't totally even. And I'm going to come right in here. Oops, I didn't pick up enough. I need more. This color is put on fairly quick, so it's not dry too much, all my pinks and my blues. So I want to kind of skate fast, so I'm not going to be lifting up the color where I don't want it to be lifted. And I don't want to add a ton of water to my background because it could end up floating in to my other areas. Okay, that's good enough for me. I like that look of just having the little peep. You love the pink, Jeannie? Okay, so we got her little face done, or her body pretty much done. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of this black color. So I have some black. This is the color I'm going to use as my gray, but I'm going to add quite a bit of water. I don't need a lot of pigment, so I want to come in here. You can test it on your paper towel. That looks about right. I'm going to come in here and just wash a little bit on her face and on her tummy, just to add a little bit more to her body and her face, a little bit more definition. Okay, that looks good. Now I should have did this earlier because I do want to add a little bit of pink cheek to her. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give that a second to dry. Let's move back on to doing the blue. So I'm going to pick up that same color that I had used earlier around on my blue part. I'm going to pick up some more of that and have that in my tray here. I'm going to rinse my brush out, and then I'm going to take clean water and I'm going to come to the outside of this area here, and I'm going to add some water to my area. And what this is going to do is going to allow my color, when I lay it down, it's going to allow it to flow and give kind of this blooming effect to it. So it's considered a wet on wet technique. I'm going to be laying my color down when my paper is wet. So I'm going to come to the outside, and then I'm going to touch my area here and lay my color down. And I'm just going to let that watercolor do its own thing. It's going to want to draw in to where the color is or where the water is. That's where it's going to want to travel. Okay. And I'm just going to let it soften up. I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out again, give it a tap, and then I can come in and slightly manipulate this too. So I can add a little bit more water. I can take out some water by using a dry brush, which I pretty much did. I took the water out of my brush, and then I'm kind of softening the edges by coming in softly and scooching that color around. And it just gives it a really pretty little halo look around your picture. All right, let's go ahead and give her a cheek. I'm going to come into this little area. I'm going to switch back to my shorter brush, or my smaller brush, and I'm going to come back into that pink, and I'm really going to want to water that color down. So we're going to really a lot of water into that color. I'm going to definitely tap it on my paper towel, and then I'm going to come in and tap with the end of my brush just here and there. And I'm going to create those little cheeks. So I'm not looking for perfect little round cheeks. So I'm going to come in, I took the water off of my brush, and I'm going to tap it again and soften that cheek out. And that's just going to give her those cute little cheeks. And then you would sign it at the end. You could also add a little bit of black if you wanted to. You could come in and add just the tiniest bit of black on top of these areas that you have with your pencil if you wanted to darken them up just a tiny bit on her hands and on her feet. And she would be really cute. Well, that is it. She is finished for our Quick Sketch Thursday. So here's the one I originally did. This is the one I did with you. They don't match, but they could be sisters, I always say. They kind of somewhat go together. And they are adorable. I love this little drawing. I think it's super sweet. Let's change it out here. Okay, there we go. She is super cute. That's not the view I wanted. Learning all these new systems. You never know. Technology, it's great. And then when it works, when you really want it to work. Well, that is it for tonight. I so appreciate everyone who popped in on the YouTube Live. I so appreciate it. Thank you for the ones who are going to be watching the replay. I'm so glad you're here. I'll be back again on Tuesday of next week and to do another draw along. So if you are curious about drawing or watercolor and you are just learning, or if you're experienced at either one, it's just a fun art break to take and come along and create something. So thanks a lot for joining me. Good night, everyone. Bye.